Yo, this is gonna be my FIRESONG Stamina Warden build, so let's get right into our stats. We put all our points into max stamina here to get 25k max stam, 35k health, and 15k magicka. We have 1100 mag recovery, 1300 stamina recovery, 4300 weapon damage, 11% crit with 7300 penetration, 18k physical and spell resist with 1700 crit resist. Our stats fully buffed up is 2k mag recovery, 2600 stamina recovery, 6000 weapon damage, 6500 weapon damage with our mythic proc, 7300 physical penetration, 23% crit, and 27k physical and spell resistance on the front bar. 27k physical and spell resistance on the front bar, and our back bar is going to be 31k. I chose to run the warrior with this build because I just want the most damage possible. We don't need the serpent for the extra sustain. I definitely recommend running the warrior. For our race, it's going to be imperial. I chose to run imperial for the fact that it gives us 2000 max health, 2000 stamina, and 6% reduced cost to all our abilities. Other races that will work well is orc for more damage and nord for more tankiness. Totally personal preference. We are going to be a vampire for this build. It's a must for PvP. Vampire stays 3, so you get the damage reduction when you're below 50% health. And then smoke bear haunch is going to be our food. Jews or Mistral is the purple version of this food, which does the exact same thing as this. It's just a lot cheaper, and definitely you should run that over this. Our critical damage is 14%, and our critical healing on the back bar is 6%. Onto our sets, we're running Battleground here as a monster set. I ran this because I just want the most overall damage, and this gives me that. One Piece Trainee, and then running Wretched Vitality on the front bar here. Wretched Vitality gives you 400 magic and stamina whenever you proc a major and minor buff or debuff on your opponent or yourself. So this gives you a bunch of extra sustain, and it also gives you the 2 and 3 piece are also recovery, and the 4 piece is damage. Wretched Vitality I think is one of the best sets in the game because it allows you to go full damage with every other part of your gear. Since you only need this is your sustain, that's why I'm able to go the warrior and Battleground with no sustain problems whatsoever. The set allows you to achieve that, and I think it's a very strong set. Our back bar set is going to be Alchemist. This is a solid staple of a back bar set. Gives you 700 increased weapon and spell damage for 20 seconds after drinking a potion. This is up about half the time in a fight, so it's very strong to have, and it pairs well with Battleground since it gives you a very strong burst window. It gives you a bunch of extra damage. For our mythic, we are going to be running Sea Serpent's Coil. Whenever you get hit at full health, you gain 40% damage reduction after taking damage. While at full health, you gain a 40% stare on yourself, but you also gain major berserk and major courage, increasing your damage time by 10% and giving you 430 extra weapon and spell damage. This is a very strong mythic that gives you a bunch of damage. You do snare yourself by 40%, but there are some ways to get around that by bunny hopping and using Bird of Prey on Warden. Since it's very easy to use Bird of Prey on Warden, this doesn't hurt his Warden as bad as it would other classes, so I think it's a very strong mythic on a Warden. But if you don't want to get snared all the time, Mark and Ring is another great option. It gives you 200 weapon and spell damage and 2300 armor. This makes you a bit tankier. You do lose damage, but you don't get snared, so this is definitely the other mythic I would run if you don't want to get snared all the time. That just comes down to personal preference. Both of them are very good. Just choose whichever one sits your playstyle better. We're going to be running all infused weapon damage glyphs on our jewelry, by the way. It's very strong. You want full damage. You don't need any sustain on your jewelry. For our weapon, it's going to be Sharpened Shocked. I chose to run Shock here because we don't get the minor vulnerability that it does give you from Growing Swarm, since I am not running this on this build. But if you are running this, you can choose to run Disease instead here to get the minor Defile on your enemies. But that's totally personal preference once again, or poisons as well. It's another great option, but Sharpen and a Maul is a must. Definitely would recommend running both of those no matter what. Our back bar, it's a sword with powered and weapon damage enchant. You can run another glyph if you want. I just like weapon damage since it gives us extra healing on the back bar, and that pairs well with powered. Powered gives you 5% extra healing done, which is very strong. I think it's a lot better than defending in my personal preference, since you can heal yourself back up quicker and then immediately switch to the offenses quickly as possible, and I really like that about powered. I think you do get more overall value from it. For your shield, it's sturdy with max stamina. Once again, max stamina gives you more healing. Sturdy, nothing else to be said about sturdy. For our armor, it's gonna be all prismatic list. We're running 3 medium on our shoes, waist, and gloves because those are the least amount of armor, and our heavy reinforced on our chest, helmet, shoulders, and legs here. This gives us the most amount of armor, so we're running reinforced. And we're running all prismatic glyphs. If you do want to save some money, however, I recommend running max stam glyphs on the small pieces here. So that would be your shoulders, hands, waist, and shoes. You can just get away with running max stam glyphs here. But if you do have the money, prismatic glyphs are definitely better. Another option is you could put all your points into max magicka here. You do less damage since we are an Imperial and we get 2k max stam. We're not using that as much, but your sustain is very good. You have infinite sustain if you go Max Magicka, because you have a bigger Magicka pool and you do pull quite a bit from your Magicka pool. So that is an option if you do want to take that route. You do have a lot. You have infinite sustain if you go Magicka. Like, you'll never run out of Mag or Stam if you have Max Magicka, if you choose to go down that route. With Stamina, you have to be better with your sustain management. But with Max Magicka, you can just do whatever you want. You'll never run out. But you do less damage. That is the one major downside. And if you choose to go the Max Magicka route, make sure you put the shield glyph to Max Magicka as well, so you get the most out of it. Onto our skills here, we are running execution here. Execute, I think, is very important on a build like this, but this is where I would put growing swarm. If you don't want to run execute, would go here. Deep Fissure, it's just this what procs our wretched vitality, and there's really no reason to run the stamina morph for this. It's just nowhere near as good as the Magicka morph, in my opinion, since this gives us minor and major fracture, which is 9,000 extra penetration, which is like 18% more damage to that opponent, and it's AoE, so it's very strong at killing ball groups. Bird of Prey, this gives us snare mobilization, gives us major expedition, and increase our damage by 5%. Very, very good skill. Dizzy Swings are main spammable. And Green Lotus here, this gives us health on auto attacks and heavy attacks, and it gives us our major prophecy here, so we get about 12% extra crit from using this ability, along with the extra health when we auto attack. Dawnbreaker have smiting here, nothing else to be said there. Ice Fortress gives us minor protection, major resolve. Leeching Vines, I chose to run this because this is my personal, that's why I like to run for the morph of Vines. You can run the other morph, totally up to you. I think this one is better because it gives me more healing, but you can run the other morph, once again, complete personal preference. Resolving Vigor here, great heal over time, gives us minor resolve. Blue Betty, I chose to run this on both builds. If you're running the Max Magicka or the Max Stam, Blue Betty I think is the way to go. You don't need any extra stamina sustain whatsoever on this build. So I definitely like Blue Betty a lot. And then Polar Winds, once again, you can choose Arctic Blast if you want the extra stun. But with Dizzy and Dawnbreaker Smiting, I think I have plenty of CC at my disposal that I don't need to rely on it. So I rather get the extra healing from Polar Winds. And then Enchanted Forest, a nice big AoE heal, helps your teammates. And if you're below 50% health and you use it, or to a target with under 50% health, you get 20 ultimate back. So it's only a 72 ultimate ability, which is very cheap. But if you don't run that, then the Sword and Shield ult is a very good alternative. We are running tripods on this build. I should recommend that. Don't run any other pot. Tripods is the way to go. For our CP, we're running Exploiter. So Dizzy makes people go off balance. This gives us 10% damage to all those opponents. Damage done with single target abilities. So this is like Dizzy, auto attacks. Direct damage is all your damage. And area effects is like your Deep Fissure and Dawnbreaker. If you want to be a bit safer, you can choose to run Ironclad here. You can choose to run that over Biting Aura or Deadly Aim. I would choose to switch them out for either Deadly Aim or Biting Aura. I personally would go Biting Aura, but if you want, you can do Deadly Aim as well and just switch it out for Ironclad. Or another blue CP that could work is Swift from No for more healing, but I don't think you need it. For Red Tree, running Fortified gives more damage reduction. Sustained by Suffering, whenever you have a negative effect on you, you gain 150 Magicka and Stam recovery. Since in PvP there will always be a negative effect on you, this will be up 100% of the time, so it's very strong. Pain Refuge, for every 2 negative effects on you, get 2% damage reduction, which is very strong. Then one together, always negative effects on you, so this will stack up very quickly, especially if you're outnumbered. Survival Instinct, 25% cost reduction. Your core combat skills when a side effect on you, this will always be on you as well, so this gives you an insane amount of sustain. Best CP passive in the game, in my opinion. And get all your passive you see fit. And then for green, Gifted Rider, War Mount, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency if you want to save some money. If you are wondering, this build will work in no CP. You might have to change the warrior out for like the Serpent or the Atronach, the Magicka recovery one as well. If you're having some sustain problems, I would do that. I would also run this with Max Magicka if we are in no CP, since the sustain will be hitting harder there too. You don't have those CP passives to rely on. So no CP, I would go all Max Magicka and then switch out my Mundus Stone to the Atronach or the Serpent. But if you are good enough, you can probably get away with the warrior still, but I still would switch to Max Magicka and no CP. Our stats fully buffed up here. We've got 20k Deep Fissure, 14k on the first hit, 15k Dizzy Swing, 21k Dawnbreaker is Smiting. Our Execute is for 5500. Our Vigor is 22,000 health over 5 seconds. And our Polar Winds is 12k immediate, and then 3k every 2 seconds. So you have an insane amount of healing, an insane amount of damage. This build basically gives you everything you want in a PvP build. A bunch of damage, a bunch of sustain. You do lack the mobility though from running Sea Serpent. That is the only downside in my opinion of this build. But you can get away with that by just popping Bird of Prey here, and then just bunny hopping around. Helps nullify the snare a lot. If you are like getting kited down, you just block, pop Bird of Prey here, and you'll be good to go. You'll get a bunch of sustain through blocking too, and you get the Warden passives as well, which helps you a ton. A quick way to play the build is you want to put all your buffs on your back bar up before you go in, and then you pop the Deep Fissure, pop the Lotus, and you go into auto attack Dizzy spam. Once the guy gets low, you pop the potion on your back bar, hit him with another Dizzy, going for the medium weave Dawnbreaker, and then you just go in for another medium weave execute and whatnot. You want to catch the Dawnbreaker when they're not blocking, so it hits for the full amount of damage, and you get the stun into the Deep Fissure. If you get a nice Dawnbreaker into a Deep Fissure fully buffed up, it does like 40k just base right there, and then into a medium weave execute, they're just dying. So it's very strong, very nice big AoE burst combo you can get with Battleground especially. If you guys have any questions regarding this build, I'd be happy to answer any questions down in the comments below. And with that, I hope you guys did enjoy the video.